subtle shift Arden had since solidified into an undeniable planetary thrum, a deep resonating pulse from the very heart of the flat Earth. The acolytes beyond the visible boundaries of the Antarctic wall had amplified the ancient geomantic nodes, sending a wave of raw, undiluted ki across the planar surface. This was not a weapon. It was a pure, unadulterated signal, the planet's own voice rising to break the millennia of forced silence. Within the vertical sanctuary, the oppressive weight of the Syndicate siege, which had lingered for weeks, now met an opposing force. The air, heavy and stagnant, began to vibrate almost imperceptibly at first, then with increasing intensity. The faint, mournful trickle of the waterfall outside the glass wall suddenly gained momentum, gathering strength, its murmur deepening into a low, guttural growl. Inside, a single perfectly formed droplet of water coalesced from the ki-starved air, then another, then a cascade reforming the internal rain, not erratic, but with a new, profound rhythm. Arden, the Prime Immortal, stood at the core of his private sanctuary, his presence a beacon against the Syndicate's fading suppression. He felt the vast surging power rise from the planetary depths through the obsidian days, coursing through him, becoming an extension of his will. He did not exert force, but rather he unleashed a truth. He opened a channel, allowing the planet's inherent resonance to flow freely, unimpeded by the Syndicate's brittle, defensive weaves. On the geomantic display at the cliffside overlook, which had been a dull gray for too long, lines of vibrant electric blue flared to life, emanating from the precise locations of the acolytes' activated nodes beyond the wall. These lines shot across the map of the disk, bypassing the Syndicate's blockades, piercing their carefully constructed nets of suppression like light through shadow. They were not targeting, they were simply revealing. Across the disk, the effect was immediate and disorienting. The pervasive static that had plagued humanity's collective consciousness suddenly intensified, then broke. It was not a violent rupture, but a profound, almost spiritual disorientation. For a fleeting moment, billions felt a deep ancestral vertigo, a sense of immense, boundless space, as if the very curvature of their perceived world had vanished. The blue lines on Arden's console pulsed, showing pockets of collective awakening, a widespread sense of profound unease, a feeling that something fundamental had shifted. Simultaneously, the Syndicate siege began to buckle. Kalen's raw ki blockades, so impenetrable moments before, started to ripple, their density unwavering under the sheer, unyielding pressure of the planet's true resonance. Zephyrian's subtle narratives of reassurance propagated through the digital channels now met an overwhelming counter-frequency. The words themselves lost their power, sounding hollow, like echoes in a vast, empty chamber. Arden watched as Isolde's signature, which had been subtly weaving evasive patterns, now flared with an almost frantic energy. She was not just observing, she was processing, perhaps even transmitting, struggling to comprehend the scale of the Prime Immortal's gambit. Her hidden pathways, previously used to bypass Kalen's purges, now became conduits for Arden's unleashed resonance, amplifying its effect through the very network she had built. She was caught unwittingly in the tide of the unweaving. The geomantic display showed Zephyrian's financial strongholds, already reeling from Arden's earlier strikes, experiencing a total collapse of their protective weaves. The illusion of stability in the global economy shattered, no longer a slow fracture, but a dramatic implosion. Values plummeted, systems crashed, and the collective human ki radiated sheer primal terror. This was not merely market correction, it was a geomantic discrediting, a deliberate and public removal of their hidden power. The Syndicate siege is breaking, Laura whispered, awe in her voice. The vibrant ki of the sanctuary surged around them, the waterfall now a deafening roar, the eternal rain falling in perfect, cleansing sheets. Their control is collapsing. Arden, the Prime Immortal, lowered his hand from the obsidian days. His expression was one of profound, ancient sorrow, mixed with an unyielding resolve. The first phase of the reckoning was complete. He had allowed the Syndicate to believe their power was absolute, only to unleash the raw, undeniable truth of the planet itself against their carefully constructed lies. They had cornered him, only to find they had merely pushed him to open a door to something far older, far greater, and infinitely more terrifying than themselves.